When Israel crossed through the Red Sea and into the wilderness, they came to a bitter, undrinkable spring called Marah. And with some 2 million people in desperate need of water, Moses cried out to God for help. And God responded in a miracle, turning the bitter spring into fresh, clean water. And then he led Israel to a beautiful garden-like grove of palm trees with 12 springs of water called Elim. And he said in Exodus 15:26, "If you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases that I brought on the Egyptians. For I am Yahweh Rapha, or the Lord who heals you." It doesn't take long to look around at the world and see that we are in desperate need of healing. Physically, there are sicknesses and pains that we might suffer on a daily basis. There are illnesses and diseases that have seriously affected us or other people that we know. And of course, there's the virus that reminds us all of how imperfect this world is. But the healing needed is not just physical, it's also spiritual and emotional. So many people have wounds that are much deeper than the skin. Not broken bones, but broken hopes and aspirations, a sorrow weighing down their heart, a grief spreading in their soul. Just as Israel was stranded in need of water, millions of people are in need and searching for that healing spring. And so where do we find hope and healing in the world? Well, some turn to substances, some turn to other people and relationships. Some maybe try and escape from it in different ways or bear it up on their own shoulders or become numb to it altogether. People turn any number of directions to find the solution, like searching for springs of water in the desert. And that's exactly where Jesus found one woman in John 4. There it was about the middle of the day when he met a woman beside a well of water. Because she was a Samaritan, a woman, and also an adulterer, she was viewed as an outcast, not just from the Jews, but from her own people and community. She was well acquainted with the sorrow and grief and the bitterness of life. And she had tried to find healing in other places, but time and time again, the wells of this world came up empty. But that's when Jesus came and offered her something that could bring true healing. He said in John 4 and verse 13, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never thirst. Indeed, the water that I will give him will become in him a well of water springing up to eternal life." And so, like God leading Israel from the waters of Marah to the springs of Elim, Jesus promised to lead this woman from the broken wells of this world to the healing, life-giving spring. A kind of healing that isn't just a temporary fix or that patches you up on the outside, but that brings true healing and life to the soul. And so we, like the woman at the well, ask, where then do we get this living water? Where do we find this healing and hope that every person throughout history is desperately searching for? Well, what Jesus offers is not some product or some philosophy or temporary fix. What Jesus offers is himself. The great physician saw the brokenness and bitterness of our world and knew there was only one thing that he could do, only one thing that could bring hope and healing. That was his own blood on the cross. And so he didn't just write a prescription to our problems. Jesus wrote himself into our story. And he became a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. He became the source of healing and life. He became the cure. Or like Isaiah 53 says, "Surely he's borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. And by his wounds, we are healed." That's what Jesus promised the Samaritan woman. And that's what he promises to us today, if we will just trust in him alone as our great physician, because he is Yahweh Rapha, the God who heals you.